Hi, my name is Newell Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to take a look at our trash can system. Now, the last time we were a little light on feeding with only around 5 pounds, and this time we're going to do the same thing. I'm sort of limiting the amount of food going into the system, as I do hope to harvest it at some point. At some point, I'll probably add coco coir instead of the paper bedding or cardboard bedding that I'm adding right now. But it also has been a long time since I've updated this, so I'm hoping that their worms are still active and ready to go, because it's been 53 days since our last update, which is a lot longer than I planned, but you know, it is what it is, and we're going to continue moving on and continue to add food to this system. So as I said, 5 pounds, 12 ounces this time. So again, light feeding. Hopefully we'll get back a little bit sooner. With the temperature warming up here, I'm probably going to see the worms get a little bit more active in these systems, and all of my systems, not just this one, because the extra heat just helps them move a little bit quicker as it's getting into the 70s in my basement instead of the low 60s. And with that, let's take a look at this system and see how it's doing and get that food in there and that bedding that we're going to add. All right, here we are at our trash can system here. Last date of 3/11, and we are going to add today's date of 5/3. So as I said, it's been a while since we updated this. I already have the mark on there because we are definitely going to feed. And let's go ahead and open up this system. First off, no moisture on the top here, so which isn't surprising. It's been a little bit dry, but with that we can always adjust. So let's just zoom in here just a little bit, back it out. There we go. I think that looks good. And let's start digging in here and see how this looks. I noticed that the middle section is very moist. The outside section is a little bit dry, but look at this. They have gone through a lot of this bedding material all the way up to the surface here. So they're really eating through this bedding material, or at least starting to, which has been an issue, I feel, in this system, but still got a lot of it in here. We got these mango seeds. These take a long time to break down. Avocado pits, they also take a long time to break down. I see a fruit fly over here. So it looks like I might have some fruit flies in here, but that's okay. We've got our traps in the basement here. No big deal. I've got a shocking zapper and some other stuff. So, but yeah, you can see some seeds. We did see some worms already, though. You can see. Just dig down a little bit. This material is pretty stuck together. It looks like they're not really breaking it down all that well compared to some of the other systems. It feels like this one's starting to gum up a little bit, which can happen, I feel, when you can't harvest and things get a little bit more compact. Every time I've added, I've been above this little ridge here in the system, and every time it seems to collapse down below that ridge. And let's just see, you can see there's tons of worms in here. You can just see, there's just all over the system. They're doing a great job of breaking stuff down, but it's just getting very compact in here. You can tell this material is just really, you can see, I can break it apart. There's a whole bunch of, what are these, millipedes as well that are in this system, which isn't surprising either. I don't really, try to make it like oh my gosh, I got to get rid of everything else that's in the system. So you can see, man, there's a couple really big dry chunks in here too. Some stuff on the side here. You can see they're really breaking this down, but it's just not, it's not as good as I feel as the other systems. I feel that this is also, it's also a little smaller, but you can see it's just, they're slowly working on that cardboard on top in some areas. The other area looked a little better, but you can see the material down in here is broken down. It's just compact. It's just very compact. It's the problem of not being able to really harvest from the bottom here in this system, because if I harvest it, it starts falling through and then you just can't seem to stop it. But overall, this is doing pretty well. I'm going to have to do a top harvest at some point, I feel. So we're going to have to eventually, I'm not going to do it right now. Whoa, look at that. Tons of worms in that little handful right there. You can see right here almost a worm ball going on in that one little spot right there. So there was probably something nice and yummy for those worms. But what I'll probably have to do is I'll probably have to do a top harvest from this system. I'm going to have to get the, trying to break down some of these clumps in here. What I'll have to do is I'll have to add some material like the coco coir, as I was saying, which is a lot easier to kind of flows through and can be just thrown in your garden anyhow, instead of the cardboard, which really can't. I can't throw this in my garden or in my yard. It's just not going to work out very well. So I've got some mold growing down up in here too. See this white mold, which I would think the worms would like. And there are worms around it, but there's not much right next to the mold really. But we'll just kind of break all this stuff apart. Got some coffee grounds over there, but almost all the food's gone except for those seeds. Those seeds though take forever to break down, so that's not really that surprising. But overall, they did a pretty good job. Cardboard is still a lot of cardboard, and as I said, it's very just everything's just sort of collapsed in here like really tight. That's one of the big issues with this system, I feel, is that you can't really get it to, you can't spread it apart. All right, let's try to bury some of that stuff in there a little bit. So now, what's the next piece? We're going to go ahead and add in more food. We are going to keep adding food to this system. I don't like to just stop feeding my systems, really. I've done it a couple times, but I've never found it to work all that well or be really that great. And before we feed this time, though, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on my mask. And I do have a nice 3M mask right here. As you can see, you want to make sure you get one of these if you're using this. I'm going to be putting out some crushed crab and eggshell into this system. I haven't done that in a while, I think. And probably desperately need some. But I want to make sure I really protect my my lungs. So I'm going to have my mask on while I'm doing this. And then now what we're going to do is we're going to add our food. So I'm going to keep my mask on. We've got a couple small things of food here, really. Or not small, but smaller than normal, I feel. It's a light feeding. So all this stuff was frozen, just as it always is. This one is really light. As you can see, we only had a couple coffee packets in here. We had some cucumber, more coffee grounds, an apple that had some mold on it that froze. We've got this full pear here that went bad, avocado shell, and a clementine, and a couple carrot peels. So this one wasn't a whole lot in this one. The next one's the big one, though. This is where most of the weight is. Actually, I'm going to slam this on the side here. Break it apart. As you can see, that one has a lot more stuff in it. The majority of our 5 pounds, 12 ounces is in here. So we got some banana peels. I'm going to rip this apart. It's pretty frozen still. I do let these sit out for a little bit, but they can be a little bit. So more clementine peels, banana peels, lots of banana peels on this one. We have some pepper. Let's see if I can rip this apart a little bit here. Again, for some reason, the mold has been building up very quickly in my house when I have this stuff sitting off to the side. As you can see, there's some mold on this already, but it's frozen. But this black mold has been, I mean, like, if I let it sit in my kitchen for like a day and a half, it starts growing mold on it. So, but this is pepper right here. Banana, apple. There we go, broke it in half. Lots of bananas in here. More banana peels. So I'm going to break those apart a little bit. Another banana peel right here. So lots of banana peels on this one. Got some tea grounds, coffee grounds, apple core. Oop, I've got a worm that already said that one's going to die on there. I usually try to not let them dig down a little bit, but some of them are still on the surface apparently. You can see this is a big clump here in the middle. Just trying to break it apart a little bit. I'm not going to be able to. I think this is just frozen coffee grounds and again some more of that mold. I don't know what that mold is, but it's just been forms immediately almost on the compost in my kitchen. So alright, I think that might be it for this really. I can't really break that apart much more. Yep, there we go. This probably had a lot of moisture and I might have dumped my tea on it at some point. So, my liquid tea, I should say, the leftover tea. Alright, that's a good, I think, for that. We already put in our crushed crab and eggshell. Now it's time to put on our paper. And this is pre-soaked paper. But I do have some more water to the side here, just in case. I didn't know how dry this would be after sitting for so long, and I wasn't sure if we'd have to add more paper to the bottom. It looks pretty good actually, this amount of paper. I wasn't sure if I'd have to add more. I wasn't sure after 50 days if they would have gone through all the paper in there and it would have been really empty, but it looks like it's okay. So let me just go ahead and clear this out. And here we go. There we go. This is ready to go back on the shelf now, or back in the corner, and be put away. So as you can see, this does work still pretty well. Again, we filled it up to this line over here on the side. It's going to sink back down. Everything just gets more and more compacted in here. And that's the real issue with this system. There's no good way to harvest it. It just, I don't, because you can't, with the way I have it set up, there's too much pressure pushing downward. So I have to put something across those grates, and then I can't get it out, which is that blanket or towel that's down there. So I'll have to do a harvest from the top on this one. I think in the next couple, maybe this summer when it's warm outside, I could take it outside, dump it all outside, try to sort the worms that way on a big tarp. But we'll see. We'll go from there. So with that, let's go ahead and cover this back up. And I'm going to go ahead and put this back in the corner. With that, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below and let me know. Thank you.